Hello, my name is Cece Treadway. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I really appreciate you being here. Today I'm going to talk about the energies of December 2020. And as we all know, this has been the most epic year of our lifetimes, most likely on a collective scale. We've come together in a way that maybe we never could have imagined before, for better or for worse. This year has been about coming together and taking a stand for what we care about. And it continues. But we have an opportunity in December. And if we really look at our time here in the seasons with intelligence, we know that there's an opportunity for evolution in every month that we have. So regardless about if you know the astrological influences or not, we can trust in the evolution of ourselves through the seasons and through the cycles on this planet. And December is a very special month because December truly is about coming together in love. Whether that is with your family, whether that's with your chosen family, or whether that's with your community. In whatever way that it is, it's about coming together in love. And taking it a step further, what guidance has been telling me is that it's really important to be purifying your system from the intensity of this year, because as everybody has taken a stand, they've taken it for better or for worse. And there's been a lot of chaos and a lot of negative energy that's been expelled. But this rage was truly underlying the collective the entire time. And so this rage emerging is really the human spirit emancipating itself on many levels. And we can see that no matter what party you are affiliated with, and no matter what your belief system is, there's a level of emancipation through expressing rage, outrage, that has been extremely powerful. And yet when December arrives, we have the opportunity to step into the energies of peace. Because December is about peace. It's Yule time. It becomes the darkest on December 21st in the Northern Hemisphere. And that is the time to know that you're going to be going inward into the quiet of winter. And to be in that inward space successfully, we really need to purify all the noise that comes out. So whatever purification means to you, that can mean a physical detox, that can mean a spiritual detox, it can mean exercising a lot, but all with the intention of letting go of everything that's accumulated from the year, everything even that's formed your solid belief systems. It's the time to surrender things over to spirit so that you can receive, you can empty and receive what's coming for the next year. When we look at ourselves as evolutionary beings, we don't get fixed on an identity or even belief systems. We may have very strong values that underlie everything, but we know that we are continuing this evolutionary journey, and it's always a surprise what's coming next. It's always a surprise who we become. If we're really doing this work, then we really have no idea what is really going to happen on the other side. Sometimes we're blessed with images or visions of what it could be, but generally we're given just as much information as we need to know so that we can continue evolving. And in that evolutionary process always comes dark and light. So we're not just here to be in the light or to be perfect all the time. We all have a shadow, and we've seen that shadow really express itself this year. Peace means integrating. Peace means accepting what is. Peace means being able to look around and say, wow, okay, this is happening. This is a different process from, let's say, visioning the future, where we have an idea or we have a vision that we want to work towards. But this radical self-acceptance and acceptance of life the way it is actually the foundation from which all dreams are created. And it is only in that real acceptance of the reality in front of us that we can come into peace. When we're strong enough in our ego to accept what's happening, then peace can occur. And this is so much about what so many spiritual traditions try to teach around the December times, the Yule energies, is that whatever's happened during the last 4 seasons, we can come together, we can look around at those we love, we can say, you know, even though you pissed me off back in March, like really bad, I love you and I see you. And here is a gift I offer to you. That gift can be a reflection of their essence. It can be doing something really nice for them. It can be buying something and wrapping it up and giving it to them. But this is the time to find your generosity and to, despite differences, come together. We're going to see moving into 2021 that more and more people who know how to do that are going to start speaking and sharing their message. We're going to see that there's more people like me and others who've been doing this for a very long time who want to stand up there and have their voice be heard. And that is the voice of seeing this common current of the divine that runs through all of us. It's a time to take a stand in that way for humanity and for who we can truly be, for the elders that we are becoming. And so much of life I see is about becoming an elder. And especially if you've reached midlife, you start looking at death kind of as the finish line. It starts to become very visible. And when you see that finish line, you realize, wow, okay, I have limited time here. I can really feel that. We can also feel like, wow, I really want to use what I've learned to offer something of value to people. And we can also see that our relationships are critical and they are so important. The people that have been with us for long periods of time, who've seen us through many different stages of growth or seen us at our worst or even at our best and stuck around, those people are really meaningful. And we all start looking at the finish line together. So you have an opportunity in December as you release the energies that have been accumulating kind of on the outer edges of your field and maybe deep in the primal levels of your brain. We have the opportunity to do what we need to do to release that, to become that open vessel for spirit, to help us evolve to that next level. So, the other thing I want to mention about December, and it happens every year, is that the energies from spirit, the angels, they begin to flow down between the veils and really bring boosts of spiritual energy into our lives. And so if you feel an angelic connection, and even if you don't, just asking that you be a recipient of that energy, it's right from divine, right from God. Just opening yourself to that very special energy. The energy that comes in is there to give you a boost. It's there to remind you of who you are. It's there to ignite your unconditionally loving heart. So to bring us back to this place of where our shared humanity is. And so I really invite you this December to put away the argument and to step into this sharing of the common human spirit, into really, really committing to how are we going to live together with all these diverse viewpoints, with everybody having built up a belief system and a culture that they feel is the right way. And yet there's other people who have done the same thing and they feel they're the right way. I'm of the view that everybody is actually right. And that everyone within whichever culture or group or collective or political party is making very good points. And that there's just isn't one way to do life here on earth. There's many ways to do it. The most important skill we can have is learning how to be with all of it and respecting people and their choices. And so, and understanding that there truly is a place for everything. I'm someone who has had the benefit of living in many different places, red state, blue state, Q state. I've done it all. And I can say that each place has something to offer that's really valuable. And then each place has a pretty gnarly shadow because that's life. And so again, we just can't ignore that shadow was there, but getting too attached to one way being the right way as we move forward is not helpful. Learning how to embrace the diversity without trying to change everybody is, in my opinion, the way forward. But hey, you might feel differently, and that's okay. But I'm really asking those who feel that level of collectiveness within their own being. In other words, really feeling yourself as one reflection of the divine all, that we are all together. We know that everyone here truly is related and truly is a part of Great Spirit. And so if we know that, then we know that we've chosen many different avenues for which to express our life. And other people have chosen theirs. And so this message is really for the peacemakers, for those who have felt maybe a little unsure this year about how you step forward with a mature voice in the midst of a lot of rage unleashing. I invite you, if you feel you have that voice, to speak it and to share it. And as we, again, let go of everything that happened this year, we can open up to those gifts within our own self, and we can very selflessly or generously give to others. Another thing I want to mention is that I was sitting with a friend a couple of years ago, actually, and we were talking about some of the underlying corruption that exists in this world and some of the darkness that is being talked about a lot these days. And he asked me, like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to move forward with this level of cruelty and denial, frankly? And I was like, I don't really know. But he was like, well, why don't you ask your Pleiadian friends? And I said, okay, Pleiadian friends, like, what are we going to do here? How do we do this? And it just, the message came in so clear. And they said, everyone evolves. Everyone evolves. Everyone evolves. And I took that in because it seems impossible, right? It just seems impossible, especially for you light workers who've come here with your like bright open spirits, you know, fresh off the boat of the planet you came from or whatever. And like, you're like, what is going on here? It's so hard. So hard. How is everyone going to evolve here? But that's the game plan. Everybody evolves. And so your work here is not to be better or more right than somebody. It's to learn how to connect. You get to have boundaries. You get to have your bubble. But life is about relationship and about sharing that which you are. This does not mean that you have to know how to do this with every single person, but it does mean that sharing your gifts and sharing what's flowing through you is incredibly important. We didn't come here to be isolated and to hold back. We came here to participate. One of the best things I felt in our election was not the results, right? The best thing about our election here in the United States was the participation. So many more people participated, and we saw people running at all levels of government, people of color, a lot of women. There was, the people who voted were people who don't usually vote. We had a lot of people of color voting. We had a lot of our First Nations people voting. That's because, maybe I'm naive, but I'm really hoping we're all coming together to participate in this crazy, wonderful, diverse, and young country that is the United States. And I know for the rest of the world, you've also been going through a lot of tumultuous changes as consciousness is really, really shifting and shifting fast. So there's a reason why like every single planet was retrograded this year. It gave us the time to really, really lean back and to feel that strength, that inner pillar. Feeling the inner pillar of who we are connected to the divine. It's in stressful times that we turn towards God, that we turn towards the divine. It's when we have nothing else that we're going to remember that original connection. We're going to stop and smell the trees. And most people, or a lot of people, had opportunities to do that. Of course, people had different experiences, but this slowing down was palpably felt. And it's still kind of going. People are continuing to go into stress, but also we've become very seasoned in how to be ourselves and in this pillar of light through very, very stressful times. This seasoning or this strengthening is what's going to help those who have who are on the path of really stepping into eldership to start speaking up more and participating. always, the older the soul, the kind of, the more witnessing is going to happen. People with older souls will take a step back. They're not just going to jump right in. Some of the qualities of the older soul, and again, this is not about being superior. It's just about like how many times you might have been on Earth if we're speaking in a reincarnation paradigm, which is a paradigm that I speak in. But if you are an older soul, you've probably incarnated a lot here, and you've probably had the gamut of lifetimes where some lifetimes you weren't so nice. Sometimes you were really part of the problem, and sometimes you're part of the solution. And Earth is about having a lot of experiences. We could also go into parallel lifetimes, because everything's happening now. It's not on a linear timeline. So this really is like a bit of a virtual reality experience where we get to project our desires and create lives that we want and deal with collective influence, so other people's free will. So it's like a wild place. I mean, it's wild here. And so if you're an old soul, you have more experience, right? And so you're not gonna just jump into the crowd or the mob because you're curious about what's happening and how you're gonna study what the energies are and what's unfolding before you start taking any action most of the time. There's also a lot of starseeds here who don't have much experience on Earth, and I've worked with many of those, and that's a really challenging position to be in because no one really knows how hard it is on Earth until you get here, especially if you come from a very sweet and refined place that hasn't dealt with issues of duality in a very, very long time, if ever. So a lot of those precious star beings are here and go through a really, really deep initiation and might be like just too traumatized to do anything for a while. Have to go through, it's not just healing karmic woundings. It is learning how to be a strong human being. Being a human being is hard work, and it's a tough job. So, I really feel you, starseeds. And for those starseeds who've done the hard work of embodiment, becoming a human, you're really positioned to let your voice be heard and let your song be sung and let your mission to be accomplished, and really to have fun doing it. I think when we hold that experience of having fun, we're raising the level of joy up. We're raising the template of life up for people, and we're shifting out of the argument again and into the solution. So December is that time where you prime yourself to be able to step into the solution and out of the argument, and to hold that space of light and of love that is also holding the darkness and loving the crazy dualistic stuff we have to go through here. You're holding that so that as people process enough of their own outrage, there's like a collective field that's really easy to step into. One of the things we do deal with here a lot on Earth are these collective fields, which are sometimes called egregores. And these fields are created when a group of people get together and they start believing the same thing. There's like an energy that's created around them that has a life of its own. And it's like you feed in beliefs and then energy and beliefs come back down. It's a circuit. So we have to be really careful where we put our mind, where we put our attention. Human beings are naturally able to be brainwashed. So what do you want to brainwash yourself with, truly? So these egregores are at work right now in a big way, especially in political parties or new parties that are emerging. There's a lot of collective energy that, as people are, studying and watching stuff, like it comes in and swoops them in, and all of a sudden they're like reading a script. It's like a script of beliefs, and we can see that in religions, we can see that in cult situations, we can see that in any kind of spiritual order, which I've been a part of many. So I always found that part to be really, really hard. The groupthink, they sometimes call it, that can be very challenging for a lot of people, but for other people, it's like a relief, and the sense of belonging is really, really good. This is just a part of Earth. There's really no judgment on this. This is part of what we deal with here. the sense of belonging and identity that comes from groups is really important. But if we're on an evolutionary path, we want to make sure that whatever groups we adhere to are also on an evolutionary path and allow room for change and for expansion. And they're groups that really are able to embrace the hard things about life and embrace people who don't think the same way, and make room for that, and especially make room for your own individual identity. So, just taking a deep breath now and feeling your gratitude for this year. That even though it's been hard and maybe things didn't go how you wanted them to go, that you most likely developed a much deeper connection to your own being, to your own self, and that you most likely became a bigger person, that you became more seasoned, that you handled your challenges this year with bravery, and that even in your suffering, you came to know what was most important to you. What is most important to you creates your values, and your values create your ability to believe in your purpose and your mission moving forward. So say thank you to yourself and commit to some process of detoxing this December, emotionally, energetically, or otherwise. And if you're interested or resonate with the frequency and the messages that I'm sharing, I have a private group where I do channeling work. I do a channeling, and then I hold space and allow other people to channel in for themselves. And then we have teachings from the guides, and we have time for creating and for writing and for really just sitting in the yummies of who you are as a creative evolutionary being. So check out the link below if you want to join. And I also do private sessions and many other things which you can explore on my website. And I thank you very much for being here.